Horse Racing YouTube. Welcome to another episode of the Inside Post. So, after a disappointing Preakness on our end for the betting aspects, like we said in our videos, Bob Baffert would ruin all of our pick fours, pick five chances, or play spoiler in this type of race. That's exactly what he did. Um, not going to get into the heated debate that is going all over social media about Baffert and the horse having a meltdown that broke down earlier on the card to National Treasure, coming off of four awful starts in his last races to winning this race. We saw the Baffert re-break yet again with John Velasquez aboard edging out Blazing Sevens. We are moving on to the Belmont Stakes. And, of course, we have three Baffert horses possibly entered in here or pointing to the Belmont Stakes. We have a slew of Tapit Pletcher horses pointing in here. So I feel like this race is going to be built for controversy. There's even a chance that Lord Miles, I think it was Lord Miles, could possibly run or something crazy like that. The Safi Joseph runner that was scratched also before the Derby could run. I, I don't know. It's interesting right now in horse racing of what is happening, what is going on. But we're kind of hoping for the best. Let's just have a great Belmont Stakes meet or Belmont Stakes day, and that we hope all horses, have safe travels. So we're just going to kind of give you an early preview of what the Belmont Stakes could look like or how it's going to shape up. I do know Baffert did say that National Treasure after the Preakness win is pointing towards the Belmont Stakes now. So, of course, we are probably going to see that. We kind of talked about it. The blinkers coming back on the horse probably did the trick. In the Preakness, I think National Treasure had the blinkers on when it broke its maiden, or even when it ran second, third to Forte Cave Rock in the juvenile. So again, kind of controlling the pace, and like I said, the Baffert re-break happened, and there we go. The big question is: he going to like coming back quickly and going longer? This mile and a half, big Belmont, wide turns. We will see. I think he's just pointing this horse in here to try just to give him another chance. He could have Reincarnate that's entered. Arabian Lion also entered in here. But I think Baffert is just doing it as his revenge tour, just being kicked out of the Kentucky Derby for a few more years. He's just going to enter every horse he can that's in good form right now in these big stakes races. Next, we'll just go kind of down the line here of what Horse Racing Nation has as probables. Of course, Forte is considering entering in here. Of course, we know scratched out of the Kentucky Derby with that front or hind leg injury that the vets were scratching him out of that one. You heard from the owner and trainer the disappointment in their voices. And then not even a week later, here we are getting notifications that Forte fails a drug test coming out of, I think it was the Champagne. So again, if this horse wins, here's your controversy. People are going to be saying, was he juiced? Well, if he failed one drug test, why isn't he banned? Kind of like what we do with our athletes. Or I think Pletcher maybe had a 10-day suspension, but here he is coming back. It's just, I don't know. For the sake of the sport, I'm hoping Forte, even any Pletcher horse or even a Baffert horse, does not win this thing, just because the social media arguments are just ridiculous right now with Baffert and that whole issue with his horses. And then, I mean, obviously we're going to see the same thing possibly if Pletcher wins. But I guess that just comes with the sport, and we're just giving our our best bets for the racing. However, Forte right now, it's tough. Not really a big fan of the violence. Sires being able to get this mile and a half distance, um, coming off an injury and then going this far, not really having any type of prep race for this, could be a big question mark if he's ready or not. Yeah, he did really well in his 5 or 6 starts prior to the Kentucky Derby. Probably would have been the Kentucky Derby favorite. We will never know. Would he have won the Kentucky Derby? Would Mage still have won the Derby? Anything like that? It's just who knows. Um, but obviously, Rapoli and Pletcher kind of want to get back in here. They tried to get in the Preakness, but however, he was scratched with I believe it was like the 14-day vet check that he was still on. So interesting that he's pointed in here for the Belmont. I really thought he would have stayed at a shorter um, stakes race throughout the summer to try to warm up for possible the Breeders' Cup Classic. But I guess if they are training this horse already, I believe he put in a work last week, right around the Preakness Day. Um, they are planning on throwing Forte in the Belmont Stakes. The next one, we got Tapit Trice, another Todd Pletcher trained. When we did our Kentucky Derby videos, we talked about this horse being set up for the Belmont Stakes. Like this horse would have been our, or could be our Belmont Stakes pick still, just because of that Tapit line. His pedigree says it all. Basically, Tapit with Danza Trice by Dunkirk has the genetics to go this extra distance, has the genetics to go a mile and a half. Tappets usually do really well at the Belmont Stakes. Um, kind of usually we see them skip the Preakness and enter in here. I think Tapit Trice with some of these other ones that are entered could be the second, third choice again, kind of like what he was in the Derby, and could be a really good price if you are that kind of pedigree style better that goes with what horses are able to get this distance. Um, he does come out of the Bluegrass and Tampa Bay Derby. Again, finished seventh in the 2023 Kentucky Derby. He just had a bad start, which, again, it's kind of hard to tell. I think he had the pace to run into, but the start just kind of put him back, not in a good spot to make a run. He should get Luis Saez aboard again to hopefully help with a better Greek gate break. Um, and I think this one is a live contender for the Belmont Stakes. Next, you got Sun Thunder for Kenny McPeak. Again, this one coming out of the Kentucky Derby, but prior to that, ran in the Risen Star, was runner up in that, and just really had nothing. Finished 11th in the Kentucky Derby. Did not impress the connections like they expected. So sending him in here, I think this horse could go 50-50. He could either stay in here to run, or he could be one of the first ones that they kind of pull out, um, just because of that. I mean, he finished 11th. He was second in the Risen. But however, we did see some quality coming out of that Risen Star. So maybe this horse could be a sneaky pick. As of right now, the jockey is to be determined for McPeak. Um, Possibly could see Brian Hernandez usually rides on some of McPeak horses, or they try to get kind of a Naira horse to run on him. But I think if any of them drop off pretty quickly, it could be Sun Thunder. Red Route 1. So, yes, this horse did come out of the Preakness like National Treasure. Interesting that they are immediately pointing this horse or talking about putting this horse in the Belmont. Finished fourth in the Preakness. Did not have, did not have the pace to run into like what this horse is used to. As you could, I mean, if you watched it, National Treasure set slow fractions. Red Route 1 usually needs a fast pace to run into. Did come out of the Bathhouse Row Stakes prior to the Preakness. Won that. kind of a setup for the Preakness. So I think they expected him to run bigger in the Preakness than what he actually did. Um, Joel will get the mount again as of now for Steve Asmussen. Interesting, again, this one is Gunrunner, but has the Tapit on top of that as well. So should have the pedigree. I guess the biggest side would be on the mare side. What is that? Red House, is that a distance type horse? Is the mile and a half quick turnaround going to be an issue for Red Route 1? He's coming in facing, fresh horses. Again, if National Treasure is set up in here, there may not be a big pace for him to run into, determining on some of these other horses who's going to go to the lead. Um, and again, I just think this one could be another one that drops off pretty quickly with Sun Thunder if it's one that may not run in here. Next, of course, is Angel of Empire. We expected this coming out of the Derby. This is where we expected to see him. We did not expect him to run in the Preakness. He did finish third. He looked really good coming down the stretch. However, I just think great decision skipping that Preakness, putting him in here. Probably could be one of the top 2 or 3 horses again. Interesting enough, did win the Arkansas Derby, was our actual pick for the Kentucky Derby. Again, the Risen Star has shown a great class of horses that have came out of that. Angel of Empire was one of those. Just did not have enough there down in the the Churchill stretch to get past Two Fills or Mage to win the Kentucky Derby. I think this is a great option here for Brad Cox and Albel Stables to put this horse in here. Um, I think the distance should be good enough out of Classic Empire with Honor and Serve on the top of that. Interesting, doesn't really wow in the whole speed department. Looks to have some endurance if you kind of go back and watch his Arkansas Derby. There wasn't anything in the Kentucky Derby that was impressive that, yes, the horse is going to get the mile and a half, or yes, this horse will love the extra ground. I didn't see a whole lot of that coming to the wire or that gallop out that um, would make Angel of Empire the top pick. I think he will be thereabouts as we kind of watch this horse warm up and work out as we get closer to the Belmont Stakes. That'll give us a good indication of, was the break from the Derby enough? Is he back kind of in form? Is he right like he was coming into the Derby where he was posting really good workouts? That will be a clear indicator for us if we are going to use him in here as well. But a horse that we've kind of been high on all spring, and we hope to continue to kind of be high on all summer. Kingsbarn next, another one for Pletcher. One that was kind of, I don't know, everybody was talking this horse up in the Derby just because he kind of had lighter races like Mage. He seemed to be one that was blooming at the right time. Comes out of the Louisiana Derby, winning that, but there was just not much in the Louisiana Derby. I feel like this horse is still Pletcher's third string, just because he sent him to the Kentucky Derby, sent him to the Louisiana Derby, finished 14th in the Kentucky Derby. A lot of people thought that this horse would be a burner. And he definitely flailed out and did not burn at all. Interesting to see who they get for the jockey on him. We could see possibly Javier Castellano just because Mage is obviously skipping this race. But just one in here, the workouts are going to have to like prove me wrong and show me otherwise. I just don't think this is a good fit for Kingsbarn. Again, if you're looking at the pedigree, he's got it. Uncle Mo with Tapit. I've not been impressed with the Louisiana. I know he won the Louisiana Derby, but there was nothing in there. And again, I feel like this is Pledger's third string, or compared to some of the other horses that he's entered in here, I feel like Kingsbarn is at the bottom of that list. Hit show. So we have another horse that we were kind of high on in the Kentucky Derby, entered in here as well. Um, I wouldn't say he disappointed in the Kentucky Derby. I mean, he finished fifth. For what he came out of, I thought that was really good. He finished, I think he was second in the Wood, winner of the Withers. So again, in the Wood, you know, you're looking at it, and well, he finished second, um, to, I think it was Lord Miles in there, and you're like, and you think there's no class in that field as well. He draws the one hole. Um, and he's the type of horse that we knew was going to be a late runner. We weren't really worried about the one hole enough. I just think he kind of had a later kick. He did not get free in the traffic. Obviously, was going to be an issue for him. Um, the pedigree is great. Candy Ride, actress by Tapit. I think this one could be a really good priced horse in here, coming in. I'm hoping that he does not scratch out or point elsewhere. I think this is a good setup, for his show, and it could be a horse that's possibly, you know, he may be 10 to 1 or 12 to 1, and I think that's going to be a really good price in here. Um, Brad Cox again, you know, this is, I think he's got two in here with Angel of Empire, um, and of course missing out on the Preakness with First Mission, scratching out of that as well. I think this is a good chance with Angel of Empire and Hit Show. I think Hit Show could be the better priced horse. Definitely going to be the better priced horse, and probably the better value horse for that type of wagerer. Next, we have a newcomer that's kind of not really been on the Derby trail. Um, a newcomer, I guess, for a late bloomer, if you would, an Arcangelo, for Gina Antonucci. This is out of Arrogate, modeling by Tapit. Again, Tapit loves the distance. That's why we're seeing all these Tapit pedigreed horses entered in here. Winner of the Peter Pan, which was a grade 3 stakes race. Um, again, Blue Rose Farm is the owner. Right now does not have a jockey. Um, so that could be interesting to see who they get for Arcangelo. Again, the pedigree checks the boxes. The way he kind of ran in the Peter Pan would check most people's boxes if you're that type of, um, better for how he performed, not, how he was ridden, or his stride for going this extra distance. He's ran on the Belmont track before, so he's used to these, I guess, long turns of the Belmont track. So definitely one that could be a deep value pick, that has the pedigree, has the familiarity, comes off of a win, should be well rested, like some of the other ones coming in here. So interesting enough to see what this one, um, is able to do going forward. Hopefully, it stays in here to add some value to the field. We're hoping for at least 13 horses. That would be great. Or at least 10 horses. 13 is perfect. Um, so we will see if we can get Arcangelo to stay in. Raise Kane. This was one of our long shot picks in the Kentucky Derby as well. I feel like we picked only horses that are in the Belmont Stakes now for the Kentucky Derby. But Raise Kane's interesting, coming out of that Gotham, grade 3, has yet to win around 2 turns, however. Um, Fifth in the Bluegrass, and then eighth in the Kentucky Derby. Definitely going to be one of the bigger price horses, coming into this field. Probably will be one of the top or higher odds with Prove Worthy, who I think just broke its maiden or has not even broke its maiden, and then that's possibly entered in here. Um, so interesting. Raise Kane, Ben Colbert pointing him here. Another one that's out of Violence and Lemon Drop. So I can see them maybe flipping this horse and trying it back on the turf. Um, not one around 2 turns is kind of an issue. Um, and definitely going to be a struggle for this horse coming in. Reincarnate. This one, obviously, for the Derby was trained by Tim Yakatine. Comes back now in the hands of Bob Baffert, entered in the Belmont Stakes, or possibly entered in the Belmont Stakes. Finished 13th in the Kentucky Derby after going out to the early lead, and kind of set up that whole pace scenario for Mage to run into. Comes out of the, before that, winner of the Sham, third in the Arkansas Derby. Again, was chasing a hot pace in the Derby and fell to 13th. So there may not be the pace in here that it was used to or that it was going for in the Kentucky Derby. Again, it could be a slower paced. I feel like any of these Bafferts could go out and get the lead. This one is out of Good Magic with Scat Daddy. So again, we've had a lot of Good Magic horses that have ran recently and have done really well. I think this horse is going to be a priced horse in here. I don't think they have a jockey set on this one yet. No, not as of now. They do not have a jockey. So interesting enough to see if Bob keeps it in here or if he's going to leave his top two, Arabian Lion and National Treasure, in here and kind of pull Reincarnate out and point elsewhere. Next is the Arabian Lion. Currently another one that is to be determined on who's going to be the jockey on that horse. Very speedy horse. Comes out, I believe it was the Sir Barton, is the last win that this horse got, and it was, of course, on Preakness Day, I believe, or I don't know if it was Friday or Saturday. I can't remember. I think it was Saturday. Owned by Zidane Stables. Again, Bob Baffert trained. So interesting to see that he's entering 3 horses in here. Usually he spaces them out with at least 2. This one is out of Justify with Distorted Humor. If you do go back and watch the Sir Barton, the horse did show some fabulous speed, like most Baffert horses do. The distance, will he be able to get the distance? That's going to be the big question, kind of surrounding this horse going forward, and what people will be looking at is, yes, he prefers. I mean, he's shined going short, but is the mile and a half going to be too much for this horse? Um, I think the pedigree is there. It's just, is he ready for the mile and a half? Just based off of his previous races. Next, we have National Treasure. Again, Baffert. I believe John Velasquez will stay aboard National Treasure with the success he had in the Preakness. Again, this horse looks to be the one that could possibly get the lead again. Will they keep the blinkers on? I think they will. He's going to go out to the pace, possibly again. If he gets to the pace again, who's going to run up with him? Reincarnate and then fade. Arabian Lion and not get the distance. Who's going to press the pace in here? Forte possibly. But if you look at all these other horses, maybe even Kingsbarn, all these other horses are horses that kind of run from off the pace. Baffert horses go to the lead. So interesting enough to say, who is going to challenge to set that pace up? Who else is going to be in here to push the pace? Who else in here is going to make the Baffert horses run a little bit faster? So the pace is faster. So we see 5 of these other horses have something to run into where a horse isn't just left alone on the lead and wires the field going a mile and a half on the big Belmont track. That's the type of reason we do not want to see, obviously, but we want to see a little bit more pace than what was in the Preakness, so some horses have something to run into to set up that fabulous stretch run of, here comes 3 or 4 horses from the back trying to catch the leader, needing the wire. So interesting enough, Baffert again puts 3 horses in here, all burners going to the early lead. I feel like Arabian Lion could go fast, Reincarnate could go fast, National Treasure wants to go slow. So how's he going to send each one? What directions will he give them to determine what they will do? And lastly, Prove Worthy. This one is for Todd Pletcher and Rapoli Stables again. Right now, again, to be determined on who the jockey will be. This one is out of Curlin. Endless Chatter by First Samurai. Has raced 3 times. Again, I believe it won its maiden at Churchill Downs before it was at Tampa, going a mile and a quarter. So the distance is there, just needs a little bit extra distance. But lightly raced horse. Not so sure if it's ready to jump into this big graded stakes race. This could just be a setup horse that Pletcher and Rapoli are entering in to give Forte to something to chase at, possibly. I feel like a lot of trainers, owners do this where they put in maybe one or two um, to give that horse something to run at. But this one possibly could be drop out and be just a no go in here just because of the class that it's not ready for. So we did find a website that kind of shows what the probable jockeys are. So there was some that I did not have, so I found this. But Forte obviously will have Irad. Tapit will have Luis Saez, Sun Thunder, Brian Hernandez, like we expected. Red Route 1, Rosario, Angel of Empire will get Pratt aboard. Kingsbarn will stick with Jose Ortiz. Hit Show will have Manny. Arcangelo will have Javier Castellano. Raise Kane, Gerardo Corrales, and National Treasure, Johnny V. So Reincarnate, Arabian Lion, and Prove Worthy, all to be determined. Expect to possibly see Ramon Vasquez pointed on Arabian Lion or even Reincarnate. And we did get confirmation that Frankie Dettori will be riding horses on Belmont Stakes Day. So look for him to possibly pick up one of those three. As well. That would be enjoyable to watch Frankie ride in the big Belmont Stakes on a big day of racing. That would be great as he kind of wraps up his career, and kind of a great way to go out is running in the Belmont Stakes. So there's kind of our early Belmont Stakes preview. We will continue posting videos each week. We will kind of give you a little bit of extra, more in-depth analysis once we kind of watch some of these horses workouts. We're going to go back and watch the videos on their last outings or even before that, so we kind of look back before the Derby, and then we will give you kind of like our top 5 videos for the Belmont Stakes as well. Make sure you hit that like button. Continue to subscribe. We are almost to 1,000. We are trying to get to 1,000 before Belmont Stakes Day. So hit that subscribe. Give us a share on all your social media pages if you would. Let us know down in the comments who you are looking forward to watch race in the Belmont Stakes. And continue to follow as we will post more videos as we heat up going into Memorial Day. We have some big stakes races this weekend at Belmont, the Soaring Softly, and of course, Santa Anita always puts on a great show for Memorial Weekend. I believe we have Forbidden Kingdom, CZ Rocket in the Triple Bend. What Makes Sammy Run and Brickyard Ride in the Daytona Stakes. These are all great stakes races at Santa Anita on May 29th. The Gamely, we have Bellamore, Atomic Blonde, and White Frost. Shoemaker Mile, Hong Kong Harry, Exalted, Gold Phoenix, and then the Hollywood Gold Cup, probably the highlight of the weekend. Country Grammar makes his return from his Dubai race. You have Senor Buscador and Royal Ship, as long as defunded, also coming in for the Hollywood Gold Cup at Santa Anita. So that's why you need to smash that subscribe button so you can get all of our best picks for each graded stakes race on the weekend leading up to Memorial Weekend and leading up to the Belmont Stakes. Thanks for watching and have a good evening.